Well, hi there everybody at YouTube, and I am Michael Buckoff, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of the lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. If you want to learn about my online TOEFL course, you can go to onlinetoeflcourse.com. Today, here is the topic. It's very simple. I want to talk about what's called a transitional sentence. I want to talk about what a transitional sentence is. I'll talk about why it's important, at least for listening, reading, speaking, and writing. I'll even tell you how to form this kind of transition sentence, which I think is important for your speaking and writing, which means it'll make it easier for your audience to understand how your ideas are connected. Right? So that's what you want to think about. Okay, so let's go over to, I'm going to open up Microsoft Word here. Okay, let's, now, you guys watching this video, whether you're watching it live or watching it later on, take notes. If you're serious about improving your TOEFL, you want to get in the habit of taking notes. It's a way of actively engaging in the material that you're studying. And that's a really, really good way to improve, I think, your overall English abilities. All right, let's go to screen capture. Okay, so let's talk about the transitional sentence, right? This is what we want to kind of look at right now. Let me make it a little bit bigger here too. Let's see. I don't want to overdo it here, but I want to make sure everybody can see this. Okay, so a transitional sentence. First of all, what is a transitional sentence, right? What is it? So you have a transitional sentence is a sentence which does two things. It links old info to new information, plus it states a topic for the next paragraph. Think of it kind of like that. So it links old information to new information. It states a topic for the next paragraph, right? Now let's talk about listening. Why? Why do we care about a transitional sentence in the listening part of the TOEFL IBT exam, right? Who cares? Why do we care? Right? That's kind of what you're thinking about right now, right? Okay, so let's say that you're taking the TOEFL exam and you're listening to a lecture. Then the lecture says this. You might see this in the listening or the reading passage. Okay, so let's just take a look at this for a minute. I want you to see this. Okay, so let's say you hear this sentence, right? So in addition to hurricanes, tornadoes can cause destruction and deaths in the communities where they touch down. You hear this sentence, right? Now you may say to yourself, well, who cares? This is not that important, right? But then after this 4 or 5 minute lecture is over, then it'll say, So it'll ask a question like this. It'll say, what was the previous topic before the lecture you just heard? Or it might say something like this. All right, so you may get another question like this. Now, this is important because during the TOEFL exam, when the listening section starts, you got to pay attention from the beginning. I mean, the very first words that come out of the speaker's mouth, you got to get them in your ears. You got to make sure you hear them, and then you're taking down some notes as you go through the lecture. Right? So then you have to look at this. In addition to hurricanes, tornadoes can cause destruction and deaths in the communities where they touch down. So if the TOEFL asks, what was the previous, excuse me, what was the previous topic before the lecture you just heard, you have to go back to this sentence here. So where it says, in addition to hurricanes, we look at this as the transition part of the sentence. Notice how it's stated in either a phrase or a dependent clause. And then we have the main idea is here. Let's just make this red. So you have to understand that main ideas are stated in the independent clause part of the sentence, and then the support ideas are stated in the prepositional phrases or dependent clauses. So in this case, what was the previous topic before the lecture you just heard? And we can say hurricanes. So with what topic is this lecture most concerned? We know it's talking about tornadoes. So if you can focus on this transition sentence and you can hear it and you can understand it, right? Sometimes it helps you answer at least 2 questions during the listening section of the test, right? So that's one reason why you should pay attention to it. So I think this is also important for reading, right? Is if you're going from one paragraph to the next, and if one paragraph is referring back to something already mentioned, then you want to make sure you understand that relationship, right? Okay, so let's move on. So let's talk about speaking and writing. The question is, why use the transition? So why use a transitional sentence in these cases, right? And if I want to make this a complete sentence, how about why should, we'll say TOEFLers, why should TOEFLers use transitional sentences in speaking and writing tasks, right? So to answer the question, it helps your audience understand how things are connected, right? We can understand how one point relates to another if you're using transitional sentences. So it can be very, very effective in those cases. So that's why we would do that. So why should TOEFLers use the transitional sentence in these cases? Because it helps to understand the connection of your ideas, right? So let's talk about speaking and writing tasks for just a minute. And let's see if I could demonstrate a transition sentence in both of these cases, right? And kind of see how it works. So hopefully, after you watch this video, you'll have a better mastery of how transitional sentences work in both speaking and writing. All right, so let's say speaking task is simple. You might say, do you want to study, let's say, which do you like? We will say studying alone or studying in a group, right? So then, let's say that you like studying alone. Let's say you can concentrate better. And let's say you have one more point. You can complete studies faster. Let's say you have maybe 2 support points on this particular question, right? So let's kind of see how it works here. These are kind of 2 things that you're trying to illustrate in your response. Okay, so then you might say, now usually, let's say if you're using the transition sentence, it's probably better, you can probably not use transition words in these cases. You might say, and you might say something like, thereby helping me to concentrate So you say something like this. So you say, I like studying alone because I'll have fewer attractions, thereby helping me to concentrate better on my studies. So let's say that you say this sentence here, right? Now the key is, what I want to show you here is how you can connect this second point back to this. So let's say that your second point is you can finish your studies faster. You see this here? So I can also finish my studies faster if I study alone. Now here's the key. So with a transition sentence, right? And I think if you're using a transition sentence, you probably don't need to worry about saying first of all and second of all. You can say something like this. You say something like this. This becomes your transition sentence. So in addition to helping me to concentrate better, I can also finish my studies faster if I study alone. So notice here, I'm kind of using this in place of what's called transitional words. Remember that there's different ways of connecting things together, and using transition words is not the only way to do it. You should have a variety of things that you do in your speaking and writing in order to show how your ideas are connected. So let's make this blue. So in addition to helping me concentrate better, I can also finish my studies faster if I study alone. And then at that point, you give an example. Now let's make this part red. See what it says here? So now we can separate the support idea from the main idea. Remember that the main idea, the topic, it should be stated in the independent clause part of the sentence here. So I can also finish my studies faster. In fact, even if we go back to this one, I'm going to make a quick change here. Let's go back to the beginning. So I like studying alone because what if we say this? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to make a quick change here. I want to be consistent here. Yeah, I'm going to say this. So it's probably better here in this first one I'm saying here, studying alone helps me to concentrate better on my studies because I have fewer distractions. So concentrate is the key idea. So it's probably better that I state that in the independent clause, not in the dependent clause. So again, here we have the main idea here is in red. Let's do that so we can see what's going on here. And then the support idea here will be in blue. Now this is kind of where grammar and speaking or writing come together, because when you're creating your simple, compound, and complex sentences, you want to make sure you understand the relationship of ideas that you have based on the kind of sentence style you're using. So if you're using, like in this first case, I have what's called a complex sentence because I have an independent clause plus a dependent clause. I'm stating my main point in the independent clause. That's why I made the change that I did. Right? And then I go over here. In addition to helping me concentrate better, I can also finish my studies faster if I study alone. So we state the main point here in the independent clause again. So that's an example of how you can use a transition sentence in speaking, in a speaking task, one of the independent speaking tasks. Right? So let's talk about the writing task for just a minute so we can see kind of how this works. So I think this is also important. Now you guys at YouTube, take notes. I'm telling you, I'm not going to copy and paste this for anybody. If you take down the notes, you'll probably more likely remember this information later on than if you just listen to it. If you're actively taking notes, trust me, it's much better for your TOEFL preparation study. Okay, writing tasks. Let's see, what are the qualities of a good roommate, right? Let's say that we have this idea. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to write down what we think the key points are. So I'm going to say one, how about honest? A roommate should be honest, right? How about a roommate should be clean? And then maybe we have one more point. If you have three ideas, you have three body paragraphs, then you have a conclusion and your introduction. Now you have five. You want to get one more idea here. So honest, clean, and maybe respectful. Now notice when I was jotting down these, this is what you have to do when you're doing the TOEFL speaking and writing. You need to be able to jot down quickly some of the key points about which you want to write and make sure, for example, here honest is an adjective, clean is an adjective, and respectful is an adjective. It makes it easier if you can keep these words parallel. It'll be easier when you begin writing about these topics later on, right? Now, in this case, what I was saying before, it's probably better in this case where you have studying alone. You don't have to say first of all, then second of all. If you just state it here, then say in addition to helping me concentrate better, I can also finish my studies faster if I study alone. Now what you can do here, and really what you're trying to do here also is you're trying to avoid using any type of template, so be careful. And a lot of students will say first of all, or the first reason is, the second reason is, the third reason is. They'll use exactly the same template for either speaking or writing, and everybody else is doing the same thing, and of course you get your TOEFL score back and you're very surprised when your score is very low, but you don't want to use those kinds of memorized templates. I had a question about this yesterday, and I really did. I said, don't do it. You want to show original language. So be careful about what I'm showing you here. I don't want you to just memorize it. I want you to understand it. So the purpose of a transitional sentence is to link old information to new. So you might say, let's use transition words on this one. So first of all, So you state this sentence here, right? Now, I'm going to show you a trick on this. So this is going to be very, very helpful for you here. I'm telling you, very, very helpful tip to help you with your structure, your organization. So we have, what are the qualities of a good roommate? Notice that I'm creating some topic sentences for each of these here. Let's make this one this color. Then we'll go to the next one. Say, second of all. So we have our next idea. And let's make this idea, we'll kind of make so we can make sure we know what our key points are. Now here's something that's important. When you're using these topic sentences, don't use exactly the same structure every time. That's a very bad idea. Right? It's not a good idea because you're not showing that you have a full range of either grammar or vocabulary if you do that. Right? So maybe in this case, instead of saying roommate, you might say, you might even say living companion. So second of all, I would also hope that my living companion is clean while living with me. Now, we go to our last one. Finally, check this out. So you might say something like this. Now this one is a little tricky. Now can you imagine, you have to imagine you're looking at your essay, you have introduction, you have body paragraph number 1 here, body paragraph 2 here, you have body paragraph number 3 here. So usually if you want to use a transition sentence, I think in the writing task, I recommend you do it when you're mentioning the final point or the final reason or whatever the final idea is that you want to talk about in the writing. You can use that, I think, in that final paragraph. So here, you'll notice here. Now let's make this, let's say blue, and then we make this red. I just want you to understand what I'm doing. What we're doing is we're separating the transition sentence from the topic sentence in the actual paragraph. So in this sentence, so by saying finally, in addition to being honest and clean, so by saying honest, the writer is now connecting this back to paragraph number 2. You see the word honest? And by saying the word clean, the writer is connecting this idea back to the previous paragraph. And then by saying my roommate will need to be respectful, right? And that goes back to the third point, and this should be mentioned in the thesis also. This goes back to the third point in the thesis. So this is how you can use a transitional sentence during the writing task, and this is how you can use it. We're talking about paragraph number 4, right? So you have your introduction, then you have paragraph 2, 3, then in paragraph 4, which is the one that you see right here, this is when you can use this type of transition sentence in the writing. Does that make sense? That's kind of how it works. And by doing that, you will have very, very good I think, connection of ideas. So think about the next time when you do make the investment to take the TOEFL exam, remember that transitional sentences can be very important in both speaking and writing, especially in terms of helping you show how your ideas are organized. And that's a good thing. Let's see, Rafael Serrano, you say, could you put the sentences you use in this video as examples in the chat window in the video description? No, I will not do that. I want you to take down notes. I don't want to make it too easy for you, because if you write it down yourself, you'll be more likely to remember the information. Not if you copy and paste it. I want you to think about what I'm telling you here. So the answer is no, I will not put these in that chat window there for that reason. I actually want you to use the language. You see what I'm saying? Real English here. Now, Raphael, you got to be patient on my website right now. I know you're one of my online students, so I'm going to say something to you right now. I am upgrading my server, my stealth.bettertoeflscores.com, and there's also a database problem at the website right now. I'm working on solving that problem. So don't try to save any writing practice test or any quizzes at my website for the next 24 hours until I get this problem repaired. All right? So that's it. Okay, so let's conclude what I said. In this particular video, I talked about transitional sentences. I talked about what it is. I talked about why it's important in the listening and the reading sections, right? And I talked about how you can use this type of sentence in speaking and writing. This is exactly what I've done in this video. All right, so at this point, I'm pretty much done with this part of the video. If anybody has any questions, for example, Raphael, he just asked a question. I don't always say yes to your questions, but if you have a question, you can simply post it in the chat area, or you can chat with other students, and I'll be more than likely to help, or other students can go together. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I need to do some speaking practice. What does that mean? I need to go to my email, and I need to listen to my students' practice test for today. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so let's go to the first student here. We have integrated speaking practice test number 17. So I'm going to go ahead and listen to his practice test and give him a score and tell him why he will get the score that he did. Now, one thing that you guys might want to listen to is see if the students are using transitional sentences in their speaking. Are they? Or how are they linking the old information to new? See if you can recognize what my TOEFL students are doing to organize their ideas. Okay, let me go to my first student here, so let's see what we have. Okay, so let's go back. So I'm going to the email right now. I'm going to download his practice test number 17. So here we go. Let's open it up.
The speaker explained tutor. The speaker explained tutor.
Okay, I got to turn this up. Okay, here we go.
Terms that are usually used by...
Okay, here we go.
The speaker explained two terms that are usually used by economists, inflation and deflation. While inflation means an increase in the prices of goods and services, during which more money is needed to get the same units of goods and services, which means a lower value of currency. Deflation, on the other hand, means a decrease in prices of goods and services. Thus, money has more power. In other words, less money is needed to get the same units of goods and services. In addition to that, the speaker says that
he just said it. In addition to that, he's using a transitional sentence there. Wow, you just heard it in a real TOEFL speaking task. And that's authentic. You see what I'm saying? So what I just taught you, what you just heard in this video, you just heard it used in a speaking practice test. And that's the most important thing, is you can see how other students are using it. Now, I need to talk to this student. I forgot to start my my recording to him. Hi there, Khaled. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-Step System to Pass the TOEFL IBT. And I'm listening to your practice test right now, so let's go ahead and get started.
The speaker explained two terms that are usually used by economists: inflation and deflation.
Good. Your tone is beautiful. Wow, I love that. It's just amazing at how you have done so well with your tone. It's really natural sounding. You worked really hard, and it makes a very big difference for you. I'm telling you, very big difference. It's very easy for me to listen to what you're saying. It really is. All right, let's keep going.
While inflation means
This is a problem. So you start off with while, right? While inflation is and deflation is, and then you say on the other hand, but if you say while, you're using while to show a contrast. There's no need to say on the other hand. So this one sentence gives me some trouble. It's too long. It's too complicated. Right after you say inflation and deflation, say, first of all, the speaker defines inflation as. Why try to combine inflation and deflation in the same sentence? It would be better to talk about the first concept alone in its own paragraph, and once you've done that, then make your transition and discuss the second concept, which is deflation.
Increase in the prices of goods and services, during which more money is needed to get the same units of goods and services, which means a lower value of currency. Deflation, on the other hand, means...
See, once you say deflation, there's no need to say on the other hand because you already used while, but the problem is I would not have said it that way. However, you're demonstrating incredible grammar knowledge to be able to create a sentence so complex and so long, and your grammar is actually pretty good. So I do give you, I commend you on your incredible grammar proficiency in order to put that sentence together.
A decrease in prices of goods and services. Thus, money has more power.
Okay.
In other words, less money is needed to get the same units of goods and services. In addition to that, the speaker says that economists favor a lower and steady rate of inflation, which can be achieved by increasing or decreasing.
And I like that. In addition to that, I love that. You're kind of adding to what you're saying. You're connecting the two things together. So that's kind of a transition sentence to help link this information back to what you've already said.
Increasing the money supplied by the governments. These supplements can be carried on by...
I love that. This supplement, these supplements. You actually corrected your grammar error, I believe. If you make a correction like that, the IBT human raters will not hold that error against you, because once you self-corrected it and made it better, it's no longer an error. So you have a lot of awareness, I think, with your speaking too.
Investments, open market operation, and bank reserve requirements.
All right, wow, my goodness. So now let's take a look at your score here. So let's see what's going on. I want to give you an actual score here. Okay, so overall, delivery, there's 0 problems. 0. Wow. Language use, very good control of both your basic and complex grammar and vocabulary. Excellent. I didn't notice any minor errors in there. Even the error that you made, you self-corrected that error. I did have problems with that one sentence, as I pointed out. Topic development overall, very good organization, except I would have preferred that you discussed inflation separately without combining it into the same sentence as deflation. That's my only comment. So I think you did well in all three areas. Wow. What does that mean to you? It means that on the TOEFL exam, if you can do what you just did, I'm comfortable giving you a score of 4 out of 4 or 30 points out of 30. I think it should be very close to getting the highest possible score. All right? And thank you for completing that integrated writing practice test. So now I'm going to email him his comments. So I'm going to send him a quick message. Can you guys catch lightning in a bottle? Think about what you just heard. If you can do what he did right there, I'm very confident. I've graded thousands and thousands of speaking practice tests. I have to put his at the higher end. He has very clear pronunciation, very good control of his grammar vocabulary, and he had a complete, accurate response about the two concepts. So that will get very, very high score. So a lot of students say, well, Michael, what do I need to do in order to get a score of 26 points or higher in the speaking? What you need to do, you need to do that. What you just listened to, that's what you need to do. You guys see what I'm saying? All right, give me a quick second. Okay, so now I am sending him my comments. I think he will be very happy to get my comments. Now remember, that anybody who can tell you, anybody who takes my online course, if it's a good practice test, it's a good one, I will say so. If it's terrible, I will say so. I'm not going to lie. If you got problems with grammar, vocabulary, if you have problems with pronunciation or topic development, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear just because you're paying me to use my course. I don't need anybody's business. I already teach at California State University, San Bernardino. Students want to use my course, they can, they don't have to. I'm not forcing anybody to use it. I will be 100% honest. Whenever you're doing writing or speaking, I will tell you what the score is and why you will get that score. That's kind of how it works. All right, let me go to the next one. So the next student here, this student sent me 4 speaking practice tests in the same day, and you guys cannot do that. If you're thinking about joining my online course, if you want to send me 4 or 5 speaking practice tests in the same day, do not join my course. I don't allow that. You guys got to remember my rule. You can send me 1 speaking practice test every 24 hours, and the same rule applies for writing. You can send me 1 writing practice test every 24 hours. Remember that a lot of online courses out there, you can't send them any practice tests. They're not going to listen to anything. They're not going to listen to your speaking. They're not going to grade your writing. You get nothing. You get nothing but a whole bunch of videos. That's it. They're not going to tell you what you're doing well, what you're doing poorly. You're not going to get this kind of feedback. So remember the rule. Respect my rule. 1 speaking and 1 writing per day. That's it. Okay, let me talk to this student here. I need to remind this student of my rule. Hi there, these comments are for Shahad, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at this 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT, your online TOEFL course. Now remember my rule, Shahad. Only send me 1 speaking practice test per day. If you miss a week and then you come back 7 days later, you cannot send me 7 practice tests. You can only send me 1 practice test every 24 hours, right? You can imagine I'm a full-time professor here at California State University, San Bernardino. I have a family, so I get pretty busy. So I want to make sure I can get feedback to all of my students. So to keep my course expensive or inexpensive for my students, I want you to only send me one. Now today you sent me 4. So that means do not send me any more speaking practice tests maybe till next Wednesday or Thursday. So wait until you get comments on all these practice tests, and then you can complete another one then. Now, of course, you can complete as many practice tests as you like offline, and I'm not going to listen to any of those, but if you want me to listen to them, just send me 1 per day. All right? That is the rule. All right, now let's take a look at this one. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and download. Okay, let's open it up. Here we go.
Well, if I died and I want my family to possess...
Okay, let's go back to this one. So you're doing independent speaking practice test number 3. All right, so let me take a look at what this question is first of all. Okay, so it says, upon your death, what valuable object or material possession would you consider giving to a friend or family member? Why would you want your friend or family member to inherit this object? Why, right? So let's hear how you answered this particular question. I want to see how you did this one, so hold on for a minute. Now let me listen to the whole thing once and then I'll listen to it again bit by bit.
Well, if I died and I want my family to possess something valuable from me, it would be my car. Especially my brother, I want him to get my car. First of all, because it's meaningful for me. I remember when I first got this car, it was from my grandmother when she died and she wanted me to get it. So it's meaningful for me and it's always remind me of her. Another thing, it's useful since my brother didn't have a car before, so I think it is useful for him to use it when he got to college or doing some shopping. So that's why I think it is meaningful and useful at the same time. Well,
okay, we got it. Now there's something you're doing that's different, and it's good. It is good. Now what is it exactly? I'm trying to figure this one out. You are varying your intonation more than you have been doing in previous TOEFL speaking practice tests. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, I like that. You're trying to put some emotion into your voice. In some parts of your response, it almost sounds like you're smiling. I can almost see the smile on your face, even though I cannot see you directly. So very good. I like that. That's a good thing. Keep doing that. Remember, I'm giving you some positive feedback here. Varying your tone is a good thing. It really is.
well, if I died and I want my family...
Now, if you said, if I died, I would want my family to. So you're talking about a present impossible condition. That means you want to use simple past tense verbs there. You want to write this down in your speaking journal. Again, with present impossible conditions, use simple past tense verbs. So if I died, I would want my family to blah, blah, blah. Not I want my family to.
to possess something valuable from me, it would be my car. Especially my brother, I want him to get my car.
Especially my brother, whom I would want to have the car. So I would change who to whom I would want to have the car. So you're having some language use issues in the first 10 seconds of your response.
First of all, because it's meaningful for me. I remember when I first got...
Now if you say, first of all, because it's meaningful for me, I would want my brother to inherit this object. I would restate the speaking prompt a little bit more than you're doing. Right now, I like how you're talking about your car, that's a material possession, and you're talking about your brother. You're not just talking about people in general, but you're very specific in how you're answering the question, and that's good for your topic development.
This car was from my grandmother when she died, and she wanted me to get it. So it's a meaning.
And she wanted me, not she wants me. She wanted me to have this car, right? So you're illustrating here why it's meaningful to you, right? And I think you're doing a pretty good job with that, by the way.
For me, and it's always remind me of her. Another thing,
It always reminds me. So don't forget of that third person S when you're using present tense. It reminds me of her.
it's useful since my brother didn't have a car before, so I think it is always remind me of her. Another thing, it's useful.
Another thing, it's useful. No, that doesn't work very well. Say, I would also want my brother to inherit this object because of its usefulness. If you say it that way, you're connecting what you're saying more clearly back to the speaking task. And you have a little bit better organization. All right, let's keep going.
Since my brother didn't have a car before, so I think it is useful for him to use it when he got to college or doing some shopping. So that's why I think it is meaningful and useful at the same time.
So I like that meaningful and useful. That was important what you did at the end because that connects it back to the purpose of your task. So you're trying to keep everything organized, right? Okay, now what we need to do is I need to look at the rubrics right now so I can figure out how to score your practice test. Okay, let's see what we have here. Hold on a minute. Okay, I'm going to click on the link here. Okay, let's take a look at the actual rubrics here. Okay, let's look at delivery. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but you're making a breakthrough specifically with your intonation on this one. So I think that you're doing better with your delivery, particularly when it comes to intonation. Language use. You did have some language use problems in this one. So sometimes you have some imprecise or incorrect use of grammar structures that you're using, and it interferes a little bit in your fluency. Overall topic development, I think for the most part you have a pretty clear organization. I like the meaningful and the usefulness thing. You had a connection of ideas, right? But I did give you some suggestions on how you can connect things a little bit better. For more information on that, go to speaking lesson number 7, which will give you some tips on how to connect ideas together a little bit better. Now, if you want, if you go over to my YouTube channel, I did do a video over the last couple of days. One of them, it talked about how to improve your topic development. It's a live stream I did a few days ago. You should check out that video because that's a very helpful video for your organization. I think still overall you have a pretty good response. I'm going to put you at 3.0 out of 4, 23 points out of 30. However, I don't think you would score a 4 on this particular practice test. All right? And thank you for completing the speaking. And I'm going to now email her my comments. So do you guys see at YouTube this, you see a lot of websites, they don't want to offer feedback with TOEFL speaking. Now think about why is that? Think about that for a second. Have you guys thought about that? Why, for example, Noteful, or how about the TOEFL IBT, the online course from ETS, or if you look at Testin, or if you look all over the internet and you look at a lot of these commercialized TOEFL websites, they don't offer feedback on speaking. Think about that. And I don't know why exactly, I'm speculating here, so, but it's difficult. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort to do the feedback, And you have to have someone who actually knows how to give the feedback to the student that's going to help the student get better. And not a lot of these websites, they don't have what we call TOEFL IBT speaking or TOEFL IBT writing specialists. So because they don't have these specialists, they can't offer the feedback. And even if they did offer the feedback, they would have to charge a lot of money for the feedback, and a lot of people would not buy their course because it would be too expensive. You see what I'm saying? So you guys at YouTube, you guys need to realize that I'm actually offering a free service. Even though my website, to use my course, it costs $45 a month, a lot of websites are almost that same price, but they don't offer the speaking and the writing feedback that I offer, and I'm offering that at no extra charge to you. How can I do that? Because I already have a full-time job at California State University, San Bernardino, and I spend zero money on advertising. When's the last time you saw a Google ad for the online TOEFL course, the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, right? You don't see any because I don't advertise, right? So I'm not spending any extra money in advertising. I have a website. If people can find it, that's great. If they don't, they're not going to use it. And I'm not worrying about trying to market all over the internet, right? Just very few people find my website, and the ones who do, I will help them to the best of my ability, and many of my students get very high TOEFL scores. And that's how it works. Okay, let me go to the next one here. I have to do more speaking practice here. So I'm going to go ahead and email this student the comments that you guys just heard at YouTube. Now you guys know at the beginning of this video, or the beginning of my scoring this one, Shahad sent me 4 speaking practice tests for today. However, I'm only scoring 1. Tomorrow I will do the next one, the next day I'll do the next one, then the next day I'll do the next one, right? Why? Because I have other students right now I need to spend more time on. If I have 10 students each day sending me speaking practice, I want to be able to talk to all 10 of them. If one student sends 4 and another sends 1, 1, and 1, whatever, I'm not going to have enough time to talk to all my students. That's why I have that rule, by the way. Okay, let's move ahead. I'm going to my next email for speaking practice. Okay, let's see what we have. I'll take a quick break here while I wait for my computer to send the message. Well, I'm sending this email. I'll tell you guys a quick story. This morning, any of you guys know me, you know that I encourage TOEFL students to do 3 things. I've been saying this in all of my live streams over the last few days. There's 3 things that you need to do if you want to get the most out of your TOEFL study. There's 3 important things. Number 1, you want to make sure you have a good, healthy diet. That means no McDonald's, no Burger King, no Pizza Hut. That means you're eating actually good, healthy food that helps the brain. No coffee, no alcohol. Try not to smoke if possible. Try to be very healthy in your diet, number 1. Number 2 is exercise. You want to make sure you're exercising every day. It makes the mind strong. Trust me. Makes the mind very strong. Now, number 3, this is very important. You need to give the brain time to sleep every day. You need to get about 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night, right? If you can do those 3 things, I promise you, you will maximize your TOEFL study. So 2 hours, just 2 hours of study each day. If you follow those 3 things, it's better than if you're staying up at all hours and then you're studying 5 hours a day or something. What I'm saying is you will get the best out of your study if you follow those 3 things. I'm not kidding you. Okay, let's take a look at the next one here. I'm going back to speaking practice. And I have another student here. We have Ali. Let's listen to him. So Ali did, it looks like, independent speaking practice test number 1, I think.
When I was 13, my parents took me and my sister to the zoo.
Okay, so let's listen to see how he answered this question. Okay, so the question is very simple. It says, describe a place you visited as a child. What is your favorite memory while visiting this place? That's what he's trying to answer, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and start up a recording for him because I need to send him some audio comments. Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Ali, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And I'm listening to you answer. It looks like you're answering independent speaking practice test number 1. All right, so here we go.
When I was 13, my parents took me and my sister to the zoo. It was really interesting to me for 2 reasons. First, I saw that
You've already gone off a cliff. Are you kidding me? You're killing me here. You're killing yourself. You are killing your TOEFL score. Right? You're saying, well, the zoo is interesting for 2 reasons. The problem with that is it doesn't answer the question. And that's exactly why you should not use templates during the speaking section of the test, Ali, because you're trying to frame this as why you enjoyed visiting the zoo, but the question doesn't even ask that. It says describe a place you visited. Then it says what is your favorite memory while visiting that place? That's the question. So the way that you start off your speaking task, it's not framed around that purpose. That's what I'm saying. You're going off a cliff. You're crashing and burning. Stop. Don't use memorized templates because all of these speaking tasks on the TOEFL, they're not going to be the same. The TOEFL likes to use all kinds of different questions when they do the independent speaking task. There's no way you can have a memorized response for every possibility. You got to be smarter than that. What you do is you hear the question and you answer it based on that type of organization.
animals in their real size. For example, I found that elephants are really big and huge and heavy. In contrast of my thoughts, I found that leopards are real small.
Now, I don't know why you're talking so softly there. Maybe you're in the library, so you cannot speak very loudly, but it's not easy for me to give you feedback about your intonation and about your pronunciation if you're not speaking loud enough. So you need to make sure you make very loud, clear recordings, and that helps me give the most accurate feedback possible. Ali.
Second, I found that my sister don't fear from the snakes.
Now you say, secondly, I found, you're talking about why it's interesting, but no, when you move to the next part of the question, say, well, my favorite memory is when we visited the snake exhibit, especially when I visited it with my sister. You can frame it that way, then talk about your memory as it relates to the snake exhibit.
We took the snakes and take pictures. That's why I think it was a really good trip.
Okay, so let's take a look at the rubrics on this one so I can give you a score here. All right, let's take a look and see what we have here. So I think delivery, you speak clearly with fluid expression of ideas with minor pauses and difficulties. No, you're not speaking clearly. You're not speaking loud enough so I can even evaluate that. So that's a big problem. Language use, I'm going to say that overall I didn't notice any major errors in the vocabulary and grammar. Topic development was a complete disaster. I'm putting you in the 2 range. Your response is connected to the task, but the ideas you discuss are limited. At times you communicate your ideas very unclearly. Connection of ideas are unclear, especially as they relate to the speaking task. So you framed it in a way that didn't really address both parts of the speaking task. Therefore, your score here, I'm going to put you at about 2.3 out of 4, 18 points out of 30 on this particular practice test, Ali. So what can you learn? What you can learn is before you figure out how to organize your response, you want to make sure you know what you're being asked to do. So you have to decode the speaking task first, you write down some key points in the 15 seconds, and then you organize it according to the speaking task, and you did not do that, right? And that's why you got a lower score on this one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send him these comments. And he will likely have a heart attack after he hears my comments to him. Now, if you do join my course, remember that I can be very direct, as you just saw here, and I'm not trying to upset you or hurt you in any way. I'm just giving you honesty and telling you specifically what is killing your speaking score. So if something is killing it, I will tell you that. If it's good, I will tell you that. In this case, he didn't do a really good job on that. So you do not want to do what this person just did. Okay, let me send him my comments here. Wait a minute. Uh-oh. I lost them. I don't know where they are. Let me see. I don't know what I just did here. Okay, here it is. I found it, but where is it? Comments. Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Ali, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the material. Okay, these are the comments, but okay, here it is. I got it. Okay, I found it. Okay, good. All right. Okay, let me go ahead and send this over to him. So, and you guys can see here at YouTube, this is intense. When I'm scoring speaking practice tests, I got to really focus all my energies on what the student is saying. So it's not easy to do what I'm doing here. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of experience. Okay, let me send him a message. There we go. So he's going to get my comments now. Now, let's see. It's mastering the transitional sentence in speaking and writing. You're saying description of this video is wrong. It's not technically wrong. What I'm doing now is far away from what I did. But if you look at, if you go to the, or if I'm, maybe this is somebody else here. This is Sakur Ranasti. If you go to the beginning of the video, that's exactly what I did at the beginning. I talked about mastering the transitional sentence in speaking and writing. So what you want to do is, instead of watching now, if you can go backward in the video to the very beginning, you will see that that's exactly what I talked about in the video. All right? Right now, you guys don't have to watch anymore. I mean, you can watch if you want. I'm just doing my work right now. And what I'm doing is, I want people at YouTube to know who I am, right? A lot of people at YouTube don't know me. So by doing these live stream videos, I'm actually meeting a lot of people every day. Every day I meet at least 3 or 4 new students just by doing these live streams. That's why I'm doing it. Right? Okay, let's move ahead. Let's go to the next part here. I'm going to go to one more speaking task. And I think this is the one I've already listened to, so I'm going to get rid of that one. Okay, here we go. Rafael Serrano, are you still listening? I think, oh my goodness, of course. You got an integrated writing task and you have a question. Wow. Okay, I'm going to deal with your grammar question right now, so let's take a look at this. I'm probably going to finish this video in about 15 minutes, I'm hoping. My 8-year-old wants to go to Toys R Us to buy some new toys. So I'm going to have to do that. And he actually saved up some money to buy them. So to me, that's a good thing. So he got some birthday money. He also does chores around the house sometimes. And again, you guys watching YouTube, you need to take notes with what you see here. And remember, by taking notes, you will do much better with this. This is a good question. Okay, hold on a minute. Let's see what your grammar question is here. We got it. Now, if you know anybody who has grammar trouble, you might want to email them right now and tell them to watch this video because this is a good question. I want to see if you guys can see this okay here. I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger. I apologize, the resolution's not perfect. That's a little bit better, right? Okay, let's go back to the question now. Okay, so you said, "Hi, Professor, here's my writing task to be graded. Additionally, I have some grammar questions." You say, "Is it correct to say adverb clause plus adverb clause connector immediately? For example, I do not like eating pizza because, although it is a delicious food, it is not healthy." Yes! That is correct. What you have is you have a clause embedded within another clause. This is actually correct, and it demonstrates very advanced grammar here. So let's see if we can figure this out. See how this thing works here. So you're saying here, you're saying I do not like eating pizza, right? So I'm going to make, let me get rid of all of this. I need to start fresh with this. So default here, right? But let's make it bigger. So you're saying here, I do not like eating pizza because, although it is a delicious dish, it is not healthy. So the main part of the sentence is this. I'm going to make it blue. I'll tell you why this is correct. And your punctuation is actually good too. So that's the main part of the sentence. Now you have two support points here. The first support point is because. I'm going to make it red. Because it is not healthy. I'm going to make this red. So that's your first support point is, I do not like eating pizza because it is not healthy. That's the first support point. Now the second point, you have another adverb clause embedded within the other adverb clause. So we're going to make this, let's make this green. So the way that you wrote the sentence is not only correct, it's excellently written and it's showing very advanced grammar on your part. So it is possible to use two different adverb clauses, one after the other, if the one adverb clause is embedded within the other. So I like it. I actually like that sentence. So that is definitely correct. Okay? I think you're okay there. See if we have any other questions. Okay, here's your second question. You say, I was doing some integrated tasks in the last days. I realized I have some timing problems. I'd like to ask you if it's possible to score high without writing. You want to say here, because you're saying without as a preposition, you want to use an object. So without writing a conclusion in an integrated writing task, thank you. Yes, it's not a big deal. If you don't have a conclusion, I don't think it will cost you too much. As long as you have an introduction and you have your body paragraphs, I think you will still do well. However, so what I recommend here is, I recommend that you do write something, right? Something at the end. So you might want to say, if you don't have a lot of time, say, it's clear that the lecture opposes the points mentioned in the reading passage, right? So if you don't have a lot of time and you need to get it done quickly, just use a single sentence, something like this. So in conclusion, it is clear that the lecture opposes the points mentioned in the reading passage. So if you don't have a lot of time for the integrated writing, you can certainly do what I'm trying to say, is maybe just have maybe a short conclusion there. All right, wait a minute. We got another question. So we got 3 questions here. So you say again, talking about integrated writing task, is it correct to use third person like a person or individual or one and so on as I did in this writing task? I'm asking you about this because I used to write in first person in the independent writing task, and that helped me to develop details and examples easier. However, in this kind of task, I do not know if it would be correct to write in first person because the content of the material is maybe extraneous or exogenous. I think do not, okay, I'm going to say this. I'm looking at you right now. Do not use the first person singular in the integrated writing tasks, right? So don't do that. That's not a good idea because integrated writing, you're summarizing. You're trying to summarize on the main points, I think, of the reading passage and the lecture, and when we're doing summaries, we want to be more objective and we want to be more formal, and the way we do that is by focusing on the third person, not the first person. So to answer your question, do not use the first person or personal pronouns during integrated writing tasks, but you can certainly use first person and personal pronouns for the independent writing task. That is my answer to that question. All right? Now, Raphael, I will send, I'm going to actually send your writing over to my teaching assistant to score, and hopefully you'll do better on this one. All right? Let me go back to my email here for a minute. Okay, let's see. I think we're here. Okay, I'm just sending, Raphael, I just sent your integrated writing task to be scored. I just emailed it over to my teaching assistant. There we go. That is it. All right, so What happened in this video? Let's keep it pretty simple. The purpose of the video in the beginning, I talked about mastering transitional sentences in speaking and writing. I talked about why they're important during the listening and the reading parts of the exam. I talked about how to construct this kind of sentence during the speaking and the writing parts of the exam, and also how it shows how your ideas are connected. After that, I just went into my email and I started grading speaking practice tests. That's kind of what I did in this particular video. Now, if anybody watching the video, if you want a really good online TOEFL course, if you're on a tight budget, if you want to get feedback when you do speaking and writing practice, please consider using the online TOEFL course, the 7-Step System to Pass a TOEFL IBT. I have included the link in this particular chat here. You can see it. The link to my website is onlinetoeflcourse.com. And for everybody at YouTube, all the best to your high-scoring TOEFL success. Honestly, I hope that everybody can get the highest possible score.